Hey everybody, this is Dr. Jen coming in to talk to you about terminating a couple. And we have had some shifts and changes this year, but I hope that this will also work into next year and that people can watch this as a resource going forward. You'll see on your screen a step-by-step guide that's been created to help everybody when it comes time to terminate a couple, but there's a few things that are really unusual that we want to bring to your attention and a little bit of clinical help as well. First is that prior to doing the termination, you need to talk to the couple about, in the next to last session, when you're planning the termination, about what's going to happen. You need to send them a different reminder email, not the usual one. There's an unusual one, right, specific for the end of treatment. And we want to get a full capture of what's going on with them. We want to get data on them, all that kind of stuff. You should schedule your termination session to be 90 minutes because of this, right? So you see there, 90 minutes, all right? And you may not need the whole 90 minutes if they do what they're supposed to do, but that will give you that time just in case it turns out that they don't do what they're supposed to do. And that, of course, is if they don't do the questionnaire before the final meeting. If they don't do the questionnaire before the final meeting, stop at the beginning of the meeting and give them the link to complete it. This would be the same as if they walked in the lobby and you handed them a paper questionnaire to fill out and then said, I'll be back, to get you when you're done. That same kind of idea. I know it's kind of weird, but you're going to send them the link. It's an online questionnaire so they can fill it out. I know there's some things to work out if they only have one computer. Maybe one person can do it on a phone, another person on a computer. You can kind of help them problem solve that. And then just tell them, hey, I'm going to go on mute. I'm going to turn my video off and go on mute, but I'm here, I'm listening. And when you're done, speak up. When they get done, say, okay, we're going to take about a 5-minute break now because I need to score up some things for you. And tell them to go ahead and go get a drink or whatever, take a 5-minute break, come back in 5 minutes. In that time, you'll want to link into their questionnaires, get their scores just on the CSI 16. Right? And you'll have their original CSI 16 baseline is in their original report that you did on them. So before that termination session, you probably want to have that handy and ready. And then to be able to compare them. All right, so we have some clinical things relevant to this too. Remember that 51.5 is the clinical cutoff for the CSI 16. So I have some notes in here, but essentially what it's saying is that if they're still scoring below that, remember, it's not like that score is the truth of all things ever, but it might be indicating that there's still a good bit of dissatisfaction and, their temperature is still a little high, put it that way. Like the CSI 16 is kind of like a temperature of their relationship. So it's possible they still have some things going on. We do want to be thoughtful, particularly for couples maybe where there's personality disorder traits or there's ongoing high stress life situations, such that they may not get above 51.5 in the near future. Like this may be a years ahead kind of thing, but they've kind of learned what they can learn and it's time to close out. So I'd have an encouraging but realistic conversation with them about that, about living with, change the things you can and don't change the things you can't change kind of thing, and being able to be compassionate and gracious to each other, even though they don't have an easy relationship. But of course, if they're well below 51.5, you might want to have a conversation about what else they need to do. Maybe it's individual therapy. Maybe they need to not terminate and continue in couple therapy, or maybe they need to go into the community to somebody else with a different approach or a different type of couple therapy than what we can offer here. What do you do about early terminations? Well, one, if they just withdrew, either we referred them out, they dropped out, whatever, there is a closing file procedures below. You want to email Nicole, right? So this year, Nicole is our project director. So if that changes sometime in the future and this video still works, please know who the replacement for Nicole was, and me, and let us know, hey, this person dropped out. And we will be taking care of any communication with them. We're still going to try to get a questionnaire out of them if they got past 2 sessions. If they're onto the 3rd session and then dropped out, then we're going to still try to get data out of them. So just so you know. We do ask that you please close the file within 2 weeks. If you are an advanced clinician, within 1 week, if you're working within the PSC, it should be relatively simple. Do follow regular PSC procedures to close it out, ensure titanium notes are done, print out and complete this checklist below that I'm going to show you. We ask you to print out the initial screening note and intake report. Some of that information doesn't exist anywhere else, so please print that out. We're going to put that away to store that up. And so that's whether they're an early termination or a planned termination. You need to go through these procedures and email them to the clinic director and the project outcome researcher, whoever that might be, and then a copy of your weekly tracking document that you did. So we have those weekly tracking, kind of looks like a mountain, right? How they're doing in their relationship. Put those in a folder and put them in a box in the PSC. I'll sign off on it, and they will be in the Hope office for future reference, like when it's time to do the 6-month follow-up and that sort of thing. Anna or her replacement in the near future will track post-therapy and complete questions. And so you can see here, this is the information that you're going to need to pull out and turn in. So this kind of makes sure that we have like the basic information about the case for the sake of research going forward. Some dates, some final scores, termination questionnaires, that sort of thing. And then it tells you where to put it. Just as a reminder, like you shouldn't have a termination session. Like shouldn't start a termination session and get into termination conversation until they've filled out that questionnaire. So that's kind of a big new thing. And you just kind of treat that as normal. That's what we always do. We used to give them a questionnaire in the lobby. Now we're going to ask them to do it online. And we'll wait for them while they do that. That's why you need the 90 minutes. Okay, I hope that's clear for everybody, and you'll all let me know what's unclear going forward. Thank you.